Welcome to the Sunshine Parenting Podcast. My name is Audrey Monkey, and I am your host. In episode 4 of the podcast, I'm interviewing a mom of 3 kids, Ashley. Her kids are 8, 10, and 12. She's a former school teacher where she taught 5th grade for 9.5 years. She was also an RA, and pretty much every job she's had has been either leading or working with kids. I met her when she was a camp counselor back in the 1990s at my summer camp, but we've reconnected via social media, and I'm excited to interview her today. You can find show notes and pictures of the things that we're talking about at my website at sunshine-parenting.com. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hi, Ashley. It's Sunshine.
Hi, Sunshine. So good to hear from you.
It's so great to reconnect after all these years. I've had so much fun following you on social media. You have some of the funniest and best parenting posts I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Well, I think that some people don't share like I do. That's the only difference, I think. I don't think I'm terribly unique, but anyway, you're very sweet.
No, it's been really fun. And actually, even though I've never met your kids in person or kind of seen you in person as a parent, I can tell by just kind of the way you do things that you're really doing a great job with your kids.
Oh, well, thanks. I hope so.
So the reason I really want to talk to you, I have several things I want to talk to you about, but we'll see what we have time for. The first is I want to talk about that great text that you sent to the parents of all the girls coming to your daughter's birthday party.
Yes.
So tell us about what you did.
Okay. Well, my daughter, my oldest, was turning 12, and this happened last weekend, and she was inviting a great number of girls to spend the night, actually. We had 22 here, which is fantastic. They're all such good girls. But as we know, with today's age, it's different. And so many of these kids have phones, not just phones, but smartphones, which lends itself to social media and Instagram and Snapchat and just all of those things that a lot of us moms actually find some solace and sanity in, maybe, to share. I know I'm one of them.
Right.
But when it comes to the kids, it's a tremendous concern of mine. My daughter does not own a phone. Anyhow, a lot of her friends do, and I'm aware of this. And I'm also aware that Drew, my daughter, has been to quite a few birthday parties where her friends are on their phones, whether they are FaceTiming somebody else who might not be at the party, or they're taking videos. Oh, Musical.ly is another one. That's another app that is really big at this age, I found. Anyway, I didn't want that for Drew's party. I did not want a group of girls on their phone, texting other kids, FaceTiming, doing Musical.ly videos, posting pictures of our house and the other friends on Instagram, or whatever it is these kids were doing. So I sent a text to every parent of the girls that were coming and let them know that I was going to be taking their phones. They would be in a bed.
Right. I love that.
What's that? Yeah. Well, I was a little nervous, to be honest, because it seemed a little, I don't know how to say it. I didn't know how to say it to them without sounding aggressive or stepping on parenting toes, because obviously their children are loud.
Right.
And again, not all of these girls own phones, but I sent it to all the parents anyway.
Right.
And I was going to be taking the phones, but I made it very clear that the phone would be accessible to the child. I wasn't going to hide it or keep it from them. It would be in a basket in the kitchen, and if they needed to call home for some reason, they absolutely could. But I really wanted to kind of stay away from the social media part of the phone. And so I got a great response, with the exception of one who I think was a little uncomfortable with it, but that, 1 out of 22.
Wow.
I got a great response. Yeah, I was really pleased with that. And it just kind of reaffirmed that I think we all feel the same way, even those parents who allow their kids to be honest,
Oh my gosh.
I think
yes.
still have reservations, even though they've allowed it.
Right.
So,
I know. And you know what? I just really applaud you, because I think this is what parents need to start doing, because the thing is
Yeah.
that if you just let it go and let the kids do what they naturally do, do now is stay on their devices 24/7. So I'm just going to read.
True.
I'm going to read the what you put in the text, because this is what you posted on Facebook and I shared it all over the place. But I'm just going to read it so that we have it here. I'm also going to post it with the show notes from this podcast so that people can see it and copy it if they want to use it, or edit it for their use. But this is what you said. Hi there. I'm excited to have your daughter over for Drew's winter swim party sleepover for her birthday. I'm writing to let you know that Chris and I are not going to allow any of the girls to use their phones if they have one. We're going to collect them and keep them accessible in a basket in the kitchen, so if your daughter ever wants to check in with you, they absolutely may. The purpose of us taking the phones is that we do not want the evening spent with half the girls making videos, posting on Musical.ly, or anything similar. We want this party to be with all the girls being present and in the moment and with their friends. I will have my phone with me, and you may contact me if you need to get a hold of your daughter at any time. Thanks for your understanding. So anyway, I just loved it, and I really was glad you shared it. And I've had several people comment, like people you don't even know, who are saving it to use with their kids when they're older. And I just think this is a trend that parents need to follow. So that's why I'm having, because I think it's taking charge.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, like I said, I was a little nervous. I was absolutely going to do it. I kind of, like most things, you have reservations, and then you realize, wait a second, it's my kid, it's my house, or whatever. Yes. And it kind of got to that point, like, this is how this party is going to go. I will not have it in my house.
Yeah.
And I'm not a crazy parent, but it just got to that point, and I'm glad I sent it out. And like I said, I got such a great response from 21 of the 22 parents.
Right.
Which reaffirmed that.
Yep.
I think all of us have the same reservations. Yeah.
Yes. And don't want to be considered the mean mom or whatever. You don't want to be that one she's so uncool, she doesn't let us use our phones.
Yes.
But it's so interesting because I think, the kids, when you do disconnect them, what we found at camp is, oh my gosh, they are happier. They have more fun together, but they won't naturally do it. But when they are forced to not have their phones, they, use their creativity. They figure out so many great things to do.
Yes, and that's interesting that you discovered at camp as well. And even just one small example is at one point during the evening, there was some downtime. The kids were really busy, and then there'd be a little lull, and then you'd be busy again. And during one of the lulls, there were, again, you're talking about 22 sixth grade girls. They're all sixth graders. They were sitting in each other's laps. They were braiding each other's wet hair out of the pool, all just kind of talking and telling stories. They're all in different classes, most at the same school. So they have different things to share. It's not as if they share their entire days together. So they all bring something different in that respect to the table. And they were braiding each other's hair, and it was such a neat thing. I just kind of walked into the other room and came upon it and thought, gosh, if they had their phones in this moment, they'd be making Musical.ly videos. And it was just kind of like, already it seems like back in the day,
right,
how birthday parties used to be. And I thought, this is exactly why I've chosen to do it. And you're right, I didn't want to be the mean mom. And there was one girl that I'm aware of who said something to Drew at school about, I don't think it's fair that your mom's going to take our phones away. And I said to Drew, and not in a mean way, but she doesn't have to come.
Right.
She doesn't have to come. I don't want her to feel as if I'm being mean, although as parents, we know we're not afraid of being mean, but it's not my child. And anyway, so it was all around good. Yeah, just like at camp, you discover they really do appreciate it, I think.
Right. Okay. And the other thing that I'm going to share, which I love, is you made it kind of a fun thing of turning in your phone. You made a really cute basket, and then you put a sign over it that said phone vacation, I think, or something. And so cute. And when I saw that, I was thinking, gosh, we should just all have that in our homes anytime we're hosting social events, because
that's so true, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even need, or just when you're having friends over, So in my house, it's kind of interesting. I mean, really, my kids are a little bit older. They're the ones who are home are 13 and 16, but we are really adamant that phones they stay downstairs. They get charged starting at 8:30 p.m. on weeknights. And of course, I'm the most unfair of all the moms or whatever.
Of course.
But it's so funny because at 8:31 p.m. every evening, we end up having like family time again. So we have dinner together and then everyone goes off and they're either doing their homework or they're doing their whatever. And then they immediately at 8:31, it's like, oh, let's go play ping pong. Let's go do this. And so it's funny because even they're used to it now. And so, and so it just really is, I'm a big proponent of putting the rules in. Okay. So question for you, how many girls actually did end up bringing phones?
So we had 6 phones in the basket.
Okay.
6 phones in the basket. But there were multiple kids who said that they just didn't bring it. In fact, I know there are a couple of them who definitely have phones. And I said to them when they arrived, do you have your phone? Like, in other words,
right.
I'll take it now.
Right.
And and they said, no, I didn't bring it. I think 4 or 5 said that to me, that they just didn't bring their phone because they knew they weren't going to be able to use it.
Right.
And so I loved that. So had everybody brought their phones, we probably would have had a little more than 10.
Right.
But I ended up with actually 6 kids who brought it.
Right.
And not one time did anybody use it, which I thought was interesting because I think they become dependent not just on the social media, but also being in contact with their parents.
Right.
Which,
right.
I mean, I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You hate to think that it's a bad thing that they always want to talk to their mom, but at the same time, you don't need to talk to your mom, know? Like, not in this moment. So I only had one during the evening say, would it be okay if I called my mom? And I said, of course. She said, I just want to let her know that I'm here. And it was probably 9 o'clock at night, and I actually kind of laughed, and I said, she knows you're here, that kind of thing. But I think it was just this sense of like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to my mom.
Right, and I usually do. She might have been a little bit like, feeling a little bit like she's missing her, or it was bedtime, or homesick, or, that kind of
which
thing
I
too.
And I completely understand and appreciate that, which is, again, why I made them visible all night long. They were never hidden or out of sight. I didn't, because I know it's a touchy subject, and it's a new path, that we're kind of walking down together. So anyway, she didn't end up calling her mom. I never addressed it after that, and neither did she, and that was it. So I had six phones. None was ever touched.
Wow, awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
So question for you. So your daughter, your oldest, is 12. What are you thinking about in terms of age for getting a phone?
Well, it's a good question. We've talked about it. My husband and I have talked about it a lot lately, and I think that the need has come up, honestly, a few times where it would have been really convenient if she'd had one, whether it's basketball practice or babysitting, because she's starting to do that a little bit. And what we're discovering, and again, this is kind of a new thing, people don't have landlines anymore. And so when she goes to a friend's house to babysit, she has no phone. She has no way to call for if there's an emergency or and that's kind of, that's not okay. So so probably sooner than later, to be honest, but it will not be a smartphone. I've made it very clear to her, because of course she's dying to have one, that it won't be a smartphone. It is not for her convenience. It's for mine. And I need you to be able to text me and to call me, and the phone will have those capabilities, and probably that's it. That's it. We even discussed getting a flip phone. So she may be a little embarrassed to pull it out, to be honest. Yeah, it does seem scary. And I know that Drew's got a couple friends that, their day is kind of based on how many likes did they get. And if there aren't the amount that was expected or hoped for or whatnot, then, there's sadness, and they need more affirmation and just things like that. It's scary.
Oh my gosh. I watched that documentary, Being 13. I don't know if you've seen it. It was a CNN. Did you see that?
No. Oh, yes, I did. Where he interviewed. Yes, I did.
It was just crazy. I mean, just listening to these kids, especially the girl. It was mostly girls, I noticed, that were part of the research, but them talking about how many times they take their selfies to try to get the perfect pose. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has got to not be good for anybody.
Yeah.
It's just, just so bad. Okay, well, this is just, I love hearing your ideas, and I hope, again, that other parents will take them on, because I've noticed, I mean, there are kids younger and younger with smartphones, like fourth graders and whatnot, and that is too much access in a small person's hand, I think, to have a phone.
I agree.
That powerful.
I agree.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you too, I have loved, you use the hashtag fierce love on a lot of your posts. And I noticed, like, to me, from afar, and of course you can't tell everything from social media, but what it seems like from afar is that your parenting style is one of like high nurture, high touch love, that, but also kind of high standards make them toe the line. Is that kind of correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. And I actually, I don't put on any airs on social media. As you said, you can't tell everything, but, I don't sugarcoat my life at all, but I appreciate that comes across, because it's absolutely true. Yeah. I think I have a more kind of hardcore, maybe, parenting style than a lot of my friends. I think that I'm more not of this generation, maybe.
Okay.
And I'm sure a lot of that comes from the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
But it works for me. It works for my children, my house, my family. So, yeah.
So describe what fierce love means to you.
Well, I mean, like the rest of us, we love our children fiercely, but this is going to sound really harsh, and you could just take it as it is. When my kids were born, and I have 3, all about 20 months apart, so we're looking at ages 8, 10, and 12. When they were born, it was kind of like Drew being first, she entered our world. We didn't enter hers. Mm-hmm. And obviously things changed, but I put those kids on a schedule at 4 months. And again, this works for me. It works for my kids. By 4 months, I started them on a sleep schedule, and it was sanity for me. It was kind of all about me. People would say, "Oh, it's so good. You put your kids to bed at, 7:30 p.m. every single night." And it's like, really, it really is good for them. However, it's kind of all about me. I needed to be showered and like ready for my 8 p.m. show.
Right.
No kids. Yeah. So it's very structured for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so just this fierce, I don't know how else to put it, but I think a lot of us feel the same, of course, just this fierce love, but it's very, as you said, my expectations are high. I think my standards are kind of high. I expect a lot from my kids, but they always blow me away and surpass what I expect. Kids are kids, but it's just this fierceness about it that I don't know how else to put it. I could say I love them so much,
right?
But it's beyond that. It's just kind of this fierce love,
Well, I like that, because I think it actually does kind of describe your style. You love them so fiercely that you'll make them follow a structure and make sure that they're getting enough sleep and all of this stuff. So I love that.
Yes.
I love the way that you describe that. Okay, so I know we've already been talking for almost 20 minutes, so I need to wrap it up.
Can you just kind of sum up some final thoughts to share with other parents?
I think parents are afraid of being the only parent.
Yep.
And you hear it all the time. We all hear it, whether it's, what the kids can wear or have or play with or whatever.
Right.
Well, so-and-so has this. Well, you should go live at so-and-so's house, because it's not how it is here. It's that simple. It really is. But you have to be confident enough in your love with your kids and your parenting to just say, I'm sorry, it's not here. And to put it out there, I think, because when people don't, then you do feel like you're the only one. You don't want to disappoint your kids. And I think I'm very fortunate that I'm a stay-at-home mom. I think working parents have it even harder, because they're not home, and there's that, added layer of maybe guilt, I don't know, or not as much time with their kids. And so they want to please them.
Right.
And my job is not to please my children.
Right.
And I wear that. And so that gives me kind of this confidence to be able to raise them the way I'm doing it,
That is awesome. I think that if more people like you share and speak out and kind of, voice these things, I think you're right. You'll have, like you said, 21 out of 22 supported and applauded your decision about the phones. And I think that's very telling. Probably some of them will now have the courage to try it themselves, at their child's party. And probably the girls, I am guessing, I would, without even doing any statistical research, I bet they had far more fun at Drew's party than they have been having at these other parties.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would kind of bank on that as well. I hope so.
Yeah, so good. Well, thank you.
If not, they'll remember it anyway. Remember when Drew's mom took our phone away?
Right. It'll be memorable. Right. Well,
It'll be memorable.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been really fun just reconnecting with you after all this time. And I look forward to seeing more of your posts and how it goes with your kids, because I'm sure you're going to continue to make great decisions and help other parents with your wonderful ideas as the way you're parenting your kids.
Oh, well, you're very sweet. Well, I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for joining me for episode 4 of the Sunshine Parenting Podcast. I'll leave you with a quote from Dr. Kristen Race of the mindfullifetoday.com. Children need time to recharge their batteries and process what they've learned. Free time allows them to explore, to be scientists, discoverers, creators, and innovators. They do that when they build snow forts, turn stairwells into cardboard slides, or find the remarkable in the mundane.